Home, the North Chapel on Highway 21 in Sylacauga, and the Childersburg Chapel on Highway 280 in Childersburg for pre-need funerals, burials, or cremation since 1975. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, Sylacauga, Childersburg, 256-245-4361. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, Sylacauga, Childersburg. In obituary news on this a Wednesday morning, the 10th day of November. Funeral service for Betty Casey. That service visitation will be on Friday evening from 5 till 8 o'clock at Curtis & Son North. Funeral service will be at 2 o'clock on Saturday from Curtis & Son North with Pastor Jimmy Salters officiating. Burial in the Evergreen Cemetery. Online condolences at curtissonsonfh.com. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, North Chapel directing. Funeral service for Heather Ann Unger Meeks, age 46, of Goodwater, will be Thursday at 11 a.m. from the chapel of Radley Smith Funeral Home with Brother Philip Alverson and Brother Dwayne Smith officiating. Burial in the Andrews Chapel Cemetery in Hanover. Mrs. Meeks died Sunday, November the 7th at UAB in Birmingham. Visitation is tonight, 5 until 8 o'clock at the funeral home. Radley Smith Funeral Home in Sylacauga directing that service. Funeral service for Ms. Nancy Burns Thomas, age 59, of Kelladon, is today at noon from Ridge Grove Baptist Church. Final arrangements entrusted to Armours Memorial Funeral Home. Charlene Taylor Murphy, age 98, died Tuesday. The funeral service will be Friday at 11 a.m. Family time visitation begins at 9:30 from First Baptist Church in Sylacauga. In lieu of flowers, the family is encouraging those who wish to make a donation can do so to the Missions First Fund. That's Missions First Fund at First Baptist Church in Sylacauga. Radley Smith Funeral Home in Sylacauga in charge of the arrangements. And of course, they were a part of Sylacauga for many years and joined First Baptist Church, and she was a member of the church for some 67 years, serving in numerous capacities. Charlene Taylor Murphy, age 98, passed away on Tuesday, and Radley Smith Funeral Home in charge of the arrangements. Vanessa Ann Oden Russ, age 67, died at UAB on Tuesday. Community Funeral Home in Sylacauga in charge of the arrangements. Online condolences at communityfuneralhome.org. Shirley Tompkins Ball, age 84, died November the 7th at her residence. Funeral service will be 11 o'clock today at Ursery Funeral Home Chapel with burial in the Pine Hill Memorial Park. The Reverend Mike Drummond will officiate the service. Online condolences at urseryfuneralhome.com. Ursery Funeral Home in Talladega in charge of the arrangements. Libby Joe Hutto, age 74, died November the 8th. Funeral service 3 o'clock at Ursery Funeral Home in Talladega on Friday with Don Little officiating. The family will visit with friends Thursday evening from 6 until 8 o'clock, also at Ursery Funeral Home. Ms. Hutto was a member of, was a graduating class of 1965 of Lincoln High School, and she was retired from the Talladega County Board of Education. Online condolences at urseryfuneralhome.com. Ursery Funeral Home in Talladega in charge of the arrangement. Homegoing celebration remembering the life of Mr. Willie J. Mahan, age 79, will be Friday at 1 o'clock from S.M. Goodson Funeral Home Chapel with Pastor Willie E. Hearn Sr. officiating. Interment in the Pine Hill AOH Church of God Cemetery in Alpine. Public viewing for Mr. Mahan will be Thursday, November the 11th, from 2 until 7 o'clock at the funeral home. S.M. Goodson Funeral Home in Talladega directing. Graveside service for Sandra Lynn Caldwell Neville, age 64, will be today at 1 p.m. from Midway Memory Gardens Chapel with Frankie Beaver Tinsley officiating. Mrs. Neville died on November the 7th at her residence. She was a lifelong resident of Alpine. Midway Memory Gardens Funeral Home in charge of the arrangements. And S.M. Goodson Funeral Home and Crematory in Talladega will announce the funeral arrangements for Sylvia F. Sherrill, age 51. Ms. Sherrill died November the 5th. S.M. Goodson Funeral Home and Crematory in Talladega in charge of the arrangements. This obituary report this morning brought to you by Curtis & Son Funeral Home, the North Chapel on Highway 21 in Sylacauga, and the Childersburg Chapel on Highway 280 in Childersburg. For pre-need funerals, burials, or cremation since 1975, Curtis & Son Funeral Home, Sylacauga, Childersburg. Call 256-245-4361. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, Sylacauga, Childersburg.